Subnautica developers are suing the game's publisher after being fired. They may have lost $250 million in bonuses after Krafton delayed the sequel. Yes. Big lawsuit. Big lawsuit coming in. It continues to be an explosive and surreal time for the Subnautica team and community. None of this is what we wanted, but we truly appreciate the amazing support we've gotten from everyone. It means a lot to us, especially now. As I wrote last week, we know in our souls that the game is ready for early access. That's just how we roll, and we'd like nothing more than for you to play it. Game devs live for this, but it's not currently under our control. We've now filed a lawsuit against Krafton. The details should eventually become, at least mostly, public. You all deserve the full story. Suing a multi-billion-dollar company in a painful, public, and possibly protracted way was certainly not on my bucket list, but this needs to be made right. Subnautica has been my life's work, and I would never willingly abandon it or the amazing team that has poured their hearts into it. Wow. So that's actually from the official r/Subnautica. That's crazy stuff. So basically what happens with these games, if you're wondering, like, what does this mean? What is this all from? Like, for example, Marathon was meant to launch in September, right? And if it launches in September, you get a bunch of like bonuses from like Papa Sony or whatever, right? Like, I don't know the exact details, right? I'm not a game dev, but I've followed these types of stories long enough that I kind of get the gist of it, right? So you get a bunch of bonuses from what I understand. And so it gets delayed because of Krafton, which I'm assuming is maybe like the CEO. And so the devs themselves are suing the publisher, right? I guess the Krafton is probably the publisher or the owner, the CEO of the publishing company, I imagine. So they don't get their bonus because it gets delayed the same way like Marathon would get delayed, right? Because the game was like, had art theft and like the alpha was received poorly. So that costs the devs a ton of money in bonuses, right? Like, cost them a ton of money. And so in this situation, they're suing the game publisher themselves, which is crazy. This will be a really like a big scandal. We'll see how this resolves. Obviously, in the situation with Marathon, it wasn't an issue because like that game needed to be delayed. Like, that was like essential. Like, I think everyone's happy that Marathon got delayed. Like, even if you think that it's still going to be a DOA or a disaster, dumpster fire, etc., Marathon needed to get delayed. Everyone can agree on that. Like, it was for sure DOA if it came out in September. We would be like less than 2 months away from Marathon's arrival. That's so bad. I'm going to keep close tabs on this one, and we'll follow up on what the lawsuit is or if they settle out of court. But Subnautica, big controversy with that game now. Big game controversy. Apparently Subnautica 1 was like a crazy successful game. So this is the trailer for 2. So what is this game? You go underwater, and what do you do? Guns, of course. Guns underwater. Shooting fish. Wait, are you shooting them or are you capturing them? Oh, you're building an underwater base? Nice. Deep sea exploration horror? Oh, horror is involved in it? Interesting. I want to see a Subnautica. Let's see, their official channel has a lot of subs. The Subnautica cinematic trailer. The teaser trailer 10 years ago. Let's see what this is.
Activating emergency CPR.
This is what the game is.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Interesting. How many copies did Subnautica sell? 6 million copies of Subnautica since 2018. How much was Subnautica on launch? Now, obviously, it probably got reduced over the years, but $30. So yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a big lawsuit. That's a big one. I'm gonna follow this game. We'll see what the updates are with that one. Krafton has now taken the unprecedented step of confirming the Subnautica 2 milestone review leak is real and accurate, as its legal battle with Unknown Worlds founders over a $250 million studio payout ramps up. Krafton confirms authenticity of leaked Subnautica 2 document. He clarifies its position to minimize confusion with the fan community. I wonder if this whole thing is going to really disrupt the fan base. You know, it shouldn't too much, right? Like the game itself is still going to be, I would assume, great, right? We'll have to see. Krafton Incorporated is issuing the following statement in response to growing speculation surrounding the development of Subnautica 2. The statement aims to offer clarity and context regarding the current situation. The document that has been circulating on social media and reported by various outlets is indeed part of an internal milestone review conducted as part of the Subnautica 2 project. Krafton has confirmed that portions of it have been leaked and are now being widely shared across online platforms and within the fan community. Krafton recognizes the confusion this has caused. Given these circumstances, Krafton has determined that transparent communication is necessary and has chosen to confirm the authenticity of the document. Krafton believes that minimizing speculation and ensuring accurate communication with players must take precedence. Milestone reviews are conducted regularly in collaboration with Krafton's creative studios across all projects. These reviews help assess development progress, define clear objectives, and ensure that each project aligns with Krafton standards in both creativity and quality. This process is essential to Krafton's commitment to delivering polished, high-quality games at the right time. Krafton will continue to work closely with Unknown Worlds to ensure that Subnautica 2 meets the expectations of players who have supported the franchise over the years. Okay, so what is this leaked document here? Subnautica 2 milestone review may... Oh, this is so cool. Got you. So the final recommendation proposed to launch with an MVP level build that allows players to experience the core loop, survival, gathering, crafting, exploration at a high level quality. It's so crazy how they like min-max the exact development of video games now. Like every little tiny like biomes, creatures, equipment progression, spec, narrative. Everything is designed and structured to be like you have to create these minimums that you have to reach, right? The current version of Subnautica 2 is expected to deliver a certain level of performance based on its existing fandom, but is deemed to lack the level of polish and market impact required to drive the IP growth and expansion. So this is Krafton sending them saying that, yeah, game's not good enough right now. It's not going to deliver well, which is an interesting like battle between devs and publisher, right? If the publisher's like sends it back to you, right? To develop Subnautica 2 and Krafton's global franchise IP, it is recommended to enhance the content volume and level of polish before launching so that it can appeal to a broader market from the EA release stage. So as is right now, biomes, they had intro and first region. So they're telling them to be like, you need to add a second region. I didn't realize how gritty this gets. They get into the details of this. This is actually what Bungie needs. Instead of having their own creative ability to be like, hey, we're just going to deliver you like less content than ever before with the same price tag, right? This is what happened when a publisher like Activision is looming over you and telling you, hey, you have to deliver to these standards. You have to deliver X amount of exotics, or else you don't get your big fancy pay bonuses that you use to buy all this crazy car collection, right? I actually like this because this holds the games accountable. And the reason why I like this is because we've seen Bungie, they can't self-publish, but because they're under Sony now, but they have full creative freedom to take Destiny in any direction they want. And it feels like they're maybe abusing that freedom in some ways and just giving us less content than we ordinarily would get for this annual expansion. And there's no accountability. Like they could deliver the Edge of Fate and it gets half as many pre-orders as usual, and there's no accountability other than, I guess, eventually Sony takes over, right? It is pretty cool to see this. Imagine what this looks like with Destiny 2 with Activision at the helm, right? Activision saying like, you need to deliver this, and this, or else you don't get these big pay bonuses, right? So then it's time to crunch, right? Crunch can be an unhealthy work environment, of course, for video games, but you have to keep the standard high, right? You have to keep performing and outperforming yourself, right? If you're trying to be number one in anything, you have to be exemplary, right? If you're trying to be the number one looter shooter game that Destiny 2 is, and maintain that number one status and eclipse every other game that even tries to enter the space, right? If your game is so good that no other studios even want to develop a looter shooter because they're like, dude, we have to compete against that, the juggernaut, the fucking Destiny 2, like that's what you want. No one wants to enter the space. When you start delivering mediocrity year after year, then yeah, people are going to be like, dude, we could enter that space and we could probably disrupt that whole space and take the number one spot in like 3 years, you know? And that's when you get serious competition, right? This is really interesting to see. They had 12 creatures and 2 leviathans as is. So this like almost like spoils the content in some ways, right? Like you're like, oh, you know exactly what's currently in the game. And they wanted 12 creatures, 2 leviathans, 8 creatures, and 2 more leviathans. Jeez. So they wanted 20 creatures and 4 leviathans. It's so weird that they go into like the exact specifics of like the number of bosses and stuff, right? I wish that Edge of Fate and Bungie had that accountability held above their head. I wish that they were held to the highest standard possible, so that way they were put in a position where they're rewarded immensely with massive, like, I'm okay with Pete Parsons having a crazy car collection and making a fuck ton of money. Pete Parsons could be a billionaire for all I care. If Destiny 2 was an incredible game that you couldn't stop playing and you had so much fun and you wanted to play it every day, and you're like, dude, Pete Parsons could be fucking Elon Musk for all I care and be the richest man alive. I'd be like, dude, you deserve it. You make the best game ever. Like, what do you mean? Like, of course you're the richest man alive. Like, you make the best game ever. But it's just like, we're not even close to that narrative. We don't even live in a world where that's a discussion that's even talked about. There's not even an iota of that discussion, right? Like, we're so far removed from that, right? So then instead people are bitter and salty because they're like, you're stupid rich. You have like probably $100 million from making this game, and the game's kind of ass right now, or like struggling at least, right? And and you seem to be like the scapegoat that everyone's pointing to when all the ex-Bungie devs leave. They're like, it's that guy's fault, they're all pointing at you. So it's like, it's hard not to dislike the guy. Sony or someone else buys Bungie from Sony. I don't think anyone buys Bungie from Sony, especially given the marathon thing. I think that really hurts them. I think the only alternative is that Sony takes over. I think that's the only thing, that the actual outcome that happens, because Bungie can't go back to self-publishing. I don't think that they would be able to last. I don't think they have the money for that, or even the willpower at this point. And so they can't go back to self-publishing or doing anything on their own, being independent, right? So they're going to stay under Sony, and Sony's just going to take over, and they're just going to replace everyone. They're going to clear house. Sony is going to take all the people that were there and probably just fill in with people that they deem to be better for the situation, which may be a good outcome, may not be a good outcome. Who knows? But after that's done, Sony will then be sending the new Bungie devs, the new Destiny 2 devs, this spreadsheet here, and say, hey, if you want to get these crazy, multi-million dollar bonuses by delivering, whatever Destiny 2 expansion comes out over the Fate saga, right, on time and with all these things, here's what you got to do. You have to do X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, keep doing these things. I mean, Destiny 2, it would be obvious what this would be, right? It would be like, so planetary destination with X amount of lost sectors. It would be like 2 exotic armor pieces for Titan Hunter and Warlock, right? And then, 6 new exotic weapons. And then over here, it could say like, we want 12 exotic weapons, right? And like, like it just keeps going on. Like, and one of these would be like new subclass, and then they over here like, new subclass. And then instead, maybe they try to go for like 1 new aspect for all the stasis classes or something, or 1 new super, Yeah, like they would just go through all these things, all the most important points that exist in a big Destiny 2 launch, and they would just one by one be like, deliver as much as you possibly can. And that's what Bungie calls over delivery, right? They're like, oh, we can't keep doing this, we can't keep this pattern up, but that's the opposite of capitalism, and that's the opposite of trying to being in a highly competitive space, right? If you don't match the pace of the capitalism in this video game space, then your game just dies. That's just how it works. Unfortunately for Bungie, over the last few years, this has become a reality that they've become aware of, like they've definitely become well aware of this. That's why they're doing a Saturday raid. Do you understand? They said before that they were never going to do weekend raids. Why? Because it overworks their employees. They don't want to work on the weekends. They want to have a healthy work-life balance. They don't want a bunch of crunch, right? They're trying to do all these things for the devs and for the teams, which is, it's not necessarily a bad thing by any means, but you have to figure out a way where you can compete against. Here's the thing, if you're not going to do raids on the weekend, other games will. That's what it is. That's what capitalism is. If you're not going to do this thing, another studio will come along that will, and then they're going to get all the prestige, and they're going to get all the players, and they're going to get all the money, and then your game just dwindles, and you'll blame this, that, and the other thing, and that's fine. But ultimately, it's just you're not willing to do the things that the other company was willing to do, and that's what capitalism is. It's kind of an ugly thing, of course. I'm not saying it's like that like healthy by any means, but that is the reality of Destiny dwindling, and their problems with their under delivery and their current, expectation models for these expansions. They want to set the bar lower and lower and lower for themselves, so that way they don't overwork their employees. They're like, let's set the bar lower, and then next year lower, next year lower. Now let's charge the same price tag, 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 same price tag. And it's like, it doesn't work like that, because fewer people pre-order, fewer people come back.